Yeah, this is beautiful, man. So, you said you moved out here about 8 months ago.
August 16th is when I moved to Atlanta. We had the Tulsa real estate ball on the 17th.
Okay.
So I came down the day before.
Nice. So what was your, I guess, your motive behind getting you down here from New Jersey?
It was a mixture of things. I felt like New Jersey was great to me. It was wonderful. That's where I probably learned the business. It's probably I'll probably say the best place to learn real estate is in the New York, New Jersey area, because there's just so much going on. Like any and every kind of deal happens there, so you can be exposed to it and touch it all. But I did feel like it was just time for me to check out another area. I've never been emotionally attached to a place or an area. I mean, I grew up in St. Louis, was back and forth between Chicago. When I was 13, I went to boarding school in Europe. I was there for a few months and ended up going to Africa. I was in Africa for 5 years. Was in 7 different countries throughout that 5-year period. Came back to the States. Started my freshman year in college.
What school?
I went to SIUE for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Didn't work out there. You know what I'm saying? That's when I moved to New Jersey permanently.
Okay.
And so I'm used to bouncing around, being around different energy, and never being locked down into an area if it doesn't really feel right. I always think that when you feel that you've conquered something, then it's time to go and see what you can do. I always feel that, hey, if things don't work, you can always come back home.
That's true.
So home is never going anywhere, but your opportunity to see other things can pass you by. So I think that was one of the reasons why when the opportunity came to come down to Atlanta, I was like, I never planned to come to Atlanta before, but I have the opportunity now. Let's go check it out. And so coming to check it out, it was great, man. It's not what I thought. I was expecting typical like down south feel, like we're in the South. Mm-hmm. It's starting to feel like the South.
Still the city with the prices that they're charging.
Exactly.
These buildings are similar to how it is in New York City, and they charge you these high prices. And you get the amenities, and
it reminds me of like a Hoboken. I don't really get like the city feel of like Manhattan.
We're outside of the city.
But it feels like a Hoboken, a Jersey City Heights, like a Weehawken or something, like Yonkers or whatever. And so I like it. And so that's the energy that we're at right now.
That's great. And the reason why I asked is because a ton of people from up north, they always migrate down south, and Atlanta is like the safe place that everybody feels. Yeah. So it was just something that I wanted to look into as an investor, and as a potential developer, to try to target this market, because a lot of people are moving down from New York City, the tri-state area, because the rent is increasing, and and I just want to make sure that my hands in different things and continue to expand and get better at my craft.
Well, I mean, what you're doing is perfect. You came down here and you're checking it out. So that's the
first step. Yeah, that's the first step.
So you come down, you check it out, you drive around, you see certain things. You'll see that this side of town is way different than the south. Than the southern part of the city. So like see things, and you just kind of take your own temperature and see what you have a stomach for. But if you can do real estate in New York, you can do it here, because the threshold in order to do real estate in New York is so much higher. The credit score, the down payment, everything is so much higher. Yeah. So if you can do it there, coming down here, you're gonna feel relief. Like, it's
a piece of cake.
Way smoother, And so, when I first came down here and I was seeing just the housing prices, and you can buy 32-unit apartment complexes down here for $800,000.
That's a 2-family in New York.
There's some houses in Bergen County, New Jersey, where that's not even enough. And I'm like, so I can buy 32 units for under $1 million. That's cash flowing.
Yeah, that's the way to go. That's the way to go.
And it's just like, let me get comfortable down here.
Yeah. So what's the strategy behind getting those type of deals, like a 32-unit building that's available?
So I'll just tell you a story. I had an issue that started in 2007 when I was 21 years old. I was accused of a crime that I didn't commit. I didn't take a plea like how most people do. I ended up fighting that case for 5 years until it went to trial, right? I went to trial. I lost the trial. They sentenced me to 5 years in prison. Yeah. I was in prison for 2 years before I won my appeal. A higher appellate court. 5 judges, they're like, hey, you guys messed up with this guy. Overturned it, set me free, right? So when I came out, I went to Chicago. where my uncle was. I was staying with my uncle for a few months. And I started getting back into the real estate game. You know, that was when I really started to take wholesaling seriously. But I was focusing more on like tax lien properties. I was probably dealing with majority of people that were from Florida, but wanted to invest in downtown Chicago. Okay. And so I got in contact with this one guy that was from Brazil. His name was Paul. And, you know, our relationship kind of graduated more from me just trying to find properties from him to him kind of giving me advice on like how I should grow my business and things of that nature. He had started a hedge fund in Rio. It did very well to where he didn't have to be there anymore, and that's why he moved to Miami. And it all started because I asked him, hey, I'm going to try to find you some properties. He wanted a condo in the same building where Lil Wayne and Drake had a condo once. Okay. And so I said, okay, no problem. I'll find and see if there's anybody that's delinquent on their property taxes in that building. What's a good time to call you? And he said, Tosin, I'm at home. You can call me anytime. And then I was like, and then he was like, that's what you need to get your business to where you don't have to have a schedule. You know, like you are home. He's like, I'm at home with my daughter. He's like, call me when you get time. And so I was like, all right, so like what type of money is gonna allow me to do that? Like, do I have to be a multi-millionaire? And he's like, no. He's like, if you get to a space to where you have $30,000 a month of net income, that's enough for you to live a great life. That actually puts you in the 1%. You got if you're making $30,000 a month net, you could have a mansion where your mortgage is $3,000 a month. You can have 3 luxury cars that you're paying $1,000 a month. You can have health insurance for all your kids, a life insurance policy for yourself. You can, you know, take your wife or your girlfriend out to nice restaurants 4 or 5 times
travel,
a month. You can travel and still have 15 grand
left over,
16 grand a month left over. You know, and so I was like, And so he had told me, he's like, your first goal should be $30K a month. And if after you hit that $30K a month, if you feel like you want to do more, if you feel like you want to go bigger, then now you have the money and of course you have the know-how and the ambition to do that. But he was like, that your first goal, he's like, just get to $30K a month and see how you feel. Nice. You know, and so that's really what my goal was that after just hearing him and just understanding that you don't need, you know, $1 million a year to live a great life. Now, if you're ambitious, you're just gonna want it just to say, hey, I'm a millionaire. You know, so yeah, that's definitely, you know, multi-millions. But I think as far as what really put the battery in my back to really go hard was just trying to get to that space to where I could live a life to where I wasn't really necessarily tied down to anywhere that I could do what I wanted to do. And I think now I'm living that life. You know, when Jay said, hey man, I need you down in Atlanta, I didn't have to say, oh, let me move some things around first. And, okay, maybe in 6 months when I'm ready. He was like, okay, I can come down. I can go. I can afford to just pick up and go. You know, and so I think that right there really should be anybody's goal starting. And then depending on how you feel, man, if you want to go to 50 million, go to 50 million. If you want to go to 5 million, go to 5 million. And I'll tell you one thing, the guy that has $10 million and the guy that has $5 million, they're living the same life. Like, if you only have $5 more million than me and I'm already a multi-millionaire, there's not too much that you can experience that I can't. Like, what car can you buy that I can't buy? Like, we can get the same car.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like, the mortgages for our houses is probably going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? I mean, unless you want to spend $10 million on a house, like, whatever. But I mean, so yeah.
That's interesting that you said that, because I never knew that was your backstory, and you've been coaching me along the way, and that kind of resonated with me, and I feel that there's a real unique connection between you and Jay, because that was one of the things that sparked my interest when I saw Jay's video and I learned about his story. That motivated me because I felt like that's me on the screen. You know, he looks just like me. He's talking the talk, waves spinning. You know, and I'm from Brooklyn, and it's been a struggle growing up, man. We didn't have the resources and the opportunities to actually go out and do legitimate business. And going away to college, I was the first generation college student. I never went. Nobody in my family ever went away to school, and that was really what helped to change my mentality to understand that it's not about just spending all your money on fly clothes, and it's important to actually invest in the future. And around that time, that's when Jay's video popped up on World Star, and it was just like perfect timing for me, you know. And that's when I created, you know, my Mogul Home Solutions, my real estate company. And my goal is to just build generational wealth, like get to that next level of being a multi-millionaire, and once you get to that level, billionaire.
Exactly.
Like the sky's the limit. You know, I definitely like appreciate you guys. I watch the JMA brand, and it was funny, right? I was watching on Facebook Live, and Jay was giving out a little bit of information on how you create content.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he said was, one of the tricks that he utilized is getting like information, like kind of make yourself the expert.
Yeah.
And whatever pertains to you,
mm-hmm.
you say go on Google, you know, get a picture that resonates with your area, mm-hmm. and then, you know, do some research on, you know, that area, kind of throw out a fact. So I said, I'm gonna try that. That's exactly what I did. So I got a picture of, you know, property in my neighborhood that I was able to acquire and do a flip for. Mm-hmm. And then I did some research on the average first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
And I purchased my first property at 25 years old, and I found out that the average first-time home buyer is 33 years old. So I put out the picture with the content and like the facts behind it, and a lot of people started reaching out. Reaching out, asking questions.
Yeah.
How do you do that? So, you know, it just motivated me more. Like, in fact, these are the small things that you can do, and it works. And as you continue to, you know, apply it repetitively, there's no limit to how we can continue to grow.
And I just think that's just good energy that you're putting out, man, just to kind of show a different narrative. Like, most people, when they hear, oh, buy a house, they think that that's something that's for older people. And it's not. It's for anybody who's over 18 who fits the requirements.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can buy a house at 18 years old. You can buy an investment property at 19 years old and be making, you know, $10,000, $15,000 a month by the time you're 21, 22. And so I think just seeing younger people like you and myself, and seeing people like, you know, people seeing us take it seriously and not like halfway doing it, not doing homey business, but actually doing it the right way.
Legitimate business.
Being professional and you know, standing toe to toe with people that are 20 years older than us. You know, I think it's very important for people to see that, you know. And so I think that's why Jay puts such a heavy emphasis on content. Because if you look at Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, that's the new age, like CNN, Fox, ABC, like those are the new TV networks.
Yeah,
you feel me? Like, so this is TV. You know, this content is going on TV.
Yeah, that's the truth.
You know, so it's like we it's very important that we just be aware of like the power that we do have with showing our lives to the world. And I mean, you never know who you're gonna touch. I mean, perfect example. I first met Jay in 2010. Had a 15-minute conversation. It never went anywhere. I went my way, he went his way. I went through my situation. I was in prison lying on my bunk and saw the guy on TV. And I'm like, is that the same guy? I'm like, nah, because now, you know, he's in a 3-piece suit. When he first came to my house, he had on a chinchilla, Tim's, and a Rolex. He looked like a dope dealer or whatever. And I'm like, is this the same guy? And I'm like, oh, man. So that content made me feel okay, yes, I'm like, gonna go hard.
I can do that. I can do that.
Instead of just being that, I remember when I first saw him just 3 years ago, he wasn't looking as progressive as he does right now. So people being able to see, like the people that know you, that have seen your growth, that's gonna be the biggest testimonial.
Absolutely.
Because they're like, man, I knew Ramel before he had the house or before he had this, and look at now, and he's done this much. Okay, you know, let me see if, you know, what I need to do to have my own equal progression is, you know, so.
Absolutely. And for me, it was just motivation. Like, after I, you know, saw Jay and I started to dig more into real estate, I jumped into class and started to really apply the concepts that I was learning. Me getting my first deal and making, you know, 6 figures and beyond on the first deal, that was motivation for me. Like, this is possible. Like, just being in a room and signing, you know, getting checks, and
it's life changing.
It's just like, wow, this is possible. And it makes you hungry to go out and get more because you know that it's doable. And
it just starts a fire, man. I think any type of success, whether it's little or bigger, is pivotal. It's pivotal in like what direction your life goes in. Because like when you don't see success, or if you always fail, then you can be like kind of down and give up. But if you just get a little bit, it's like, okay, it works.
It works.
I may not have perfected it, but it works because you have the proof of the money you just made as evidence that it actually clicks. You know, and so, but yeah, man, I definitely feel where you're coming from.
Absolutely, man. So, what would you say like that you're most proud of at this moment in your life? What are you most proud of?
Man, I'm most proud of my ability to grow and my willingness to change. Like, it's something that I think about all the time. So not necessarily the accomplishments that I've had, because on a larger scale of things, it's not really a lot. You know, if you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's more
so much more you can do.
Yeah, it's more of just like the person that I'm becoming. Like, I know who I was at 12. You know, when I first got in this.
Yeah.
I was in juvenile hall, 11 years old.
Yeah.
So, you know, I haven't been off the porch since I was a young child. And so when I see the way I used to think from 11 to 13, and then from, 14 to 17, and then when, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was in a boarding school in Nigeria for the first time when I was 18, and how that kind of changed my brain, and going to and just seeing that progression in me as a child to a boy to a man. I'm proud of that, because a lot of people never make that many changes in growth. I have a lot of friends that I grew up with that they're still in the same mindset that we were at when we were 21 years old. And so I feel lucky and blessed to have been able to mature. It's like maturity doesn't just happen because you get older.
Yeah.
It's something that you have to like build and work on. And so I think I'm just most proud of my ability to mature. And so that's probably my most proud.
That's amazing. That's truly amazing. For me, it's kind of similar. Because coming from the hood, you never see yourself in a certain way. You never think that you can be as successful as people that's on TV and things like that. My dad, he owned businesses and things like that growing up, but it was just small mom and pop things. It never took it to that grand level. And me at this age doing the things that I'm doing it's just motivational for me, and I'm influencing others around me. That's like, I take that very dear, because being able to help and develop other people around you is important as well, because you can never do it by yourself. So I'm most proud of my maturity and coming from nothing and actually building on it and seeing a path, like this is where I'm gonna be, and like knowing that is possible.
Hell yeah,
it's possible.
Most definitely.
Look at these beautiful buildings, become a developer.
Yeah, it would be great to do one of these things, man. It's just, it'd be wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, weather's supposed to be getting better, so it'd be a lot warmer, it'd be a lot easier to check out the city, man. I really, I think I'm pretty much familiar with like downtown, midtown, and the Buckhead area. I really, really, really want to get busy in the South, and just because there's a lot of opportunities down there. It's like a whole nother world. Like South Atlanta and Buckhead, it's two different worlds. It's like two different worlds, two different people, two different ways of life. It's different, but it's also like where the people are at, and it's where you have the people is you have more connection to the culture, and there's also more opportunities to make money, because majority of the population doesn't live in an area where the medium home is $800,000.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's like an 83% population white. So it's kind of I think this area is just a small glimpse of the bigger picture. So I've seen that. Great, it's beautiful, I love it. But it's time to see, the other side of the coin.
That's the absolute fact, man.
Definitely. Yeah, man, I appreciate you coming down.
Appreciate you having me, man. Walking me through.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, man. So
good.